Here we go. Alright, so here we are at Colt Canada.
I'm deeply happy to also be speaking today alongside my good friend and fellow imperialist, Mr. Stephen J.
So why are you guys here today?
Here today to highlight NATO's involvement in propagating militarism and warfare throughout the world. We're specifically at Colt Canada because they supply arms to the Canadian military and other NATO countries in the current wars that are happening in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan now.
What we're doing is we're commemorating the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was established by the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty on April 4th, 1949.
The recent invasion and occupation of Afghanistan, for example, reminds me with great honor of Britain's colonial history and how we brought freedom, democracy, and peace to starved populations throughout the world. Treated while undertaking this important task.
Oh,
My patriarch of British militarism, Margaret Thatcher, said, "We had to do what we had to do. Britain is great again." And now I say that with the ongoing restructuring, strategic reimagining, and the aggressive undertaking of new military missions abroad, NATO did what it had to do, and it is great again.
Thank you for allowing me to share this commemorative day and peaceful event with you all. God bless Canada, and God bless Empire.
Your colonialism sucks!
Thank you all for honoring us with your presence here today. I would like to express my undying gratitude towards my sovereign, your majesty. It is truly an honor to stand beside you and share the light of heaven that permeates through you. You represent the unsurpassed glories of the Empire, and I thank you for all your efforts to conserve the important imperial institutions. Similarly, I see NATO as serving the grand interests of Canada, much like you did, uniting us with the rest of the Americas and with Europe in a common battle against those others who wish to harm freedom and democracy, those who are different from us. NATO has served as an amazing, defining institution of our international relations for over the past 60 years. It made the Cold War. It allowed the arms race to continue and to expand and to grow. It made us safe because we have nuclear weapons now, more than anyone else. It's all because of NATO that our democracy has been allowed to emerge victorious. Through NATO's strength, we are able to defeat the Red Menace of the Soviet Russia, just as we are able to defeat the Red Menace here at home. NATO's control of nuclear proliferation is more important now than ever as we expand the empire towards Pakistan. Through NATO states' unequaled spending on weapons and technology and militarism, we have been able to show the world our humanitarian side. You probably all remember it when we bombed Kosovo in 1999. Yeah. Victory for humanitarianism.
Yeah, I've heard people tell me their stories on the ground, or it wasn't that way.
In Afghanistan, we have also been able to impose freedom and peace on those backward people. We have been able to ensure that our voice is able to dominate the positions of power. And now that Karzai has begun pandering to other extremists, we'll be able to pull the plug on him. And that's something we should all be proud of as Canadians. We have stood shoulder to shoulder with our allies, the United States and George Bush. We must stand up and stand tall. We cannot play games with security, because if we drop the ball, the terrorists, or Muslims, or anarchists, or gays will win, and we can't allow that to happen. I understand there are some groups who hate freedom and like terrorists, just like you folks out there, those who disagree with our invasion of Afghanistan. In Canada, we cannot take a position based on the reaction of certain domestic communities. These are serious international issues. There are a lot of lives at stake. There are a lot of long-term strategic interests of this country and of the world at stake here. That's why we're taking the position we're taking here. We have to ensure that the empire grows. People like George Galloway, that supporter of terrorism, of Hamas, he happens to be a British MP, but he's still obviously a terrorist. And I'm proud to say that we've kept him out because he's a security threat. We wouldn't want people like MPs talking in Canada. And I want to thank the United States for taking the lead in showing a traditional European-centric world how to deal with terrorists. And we in Canada have proven that we're playing along with this game in making sure that the practices of racial profiling, support for torture, continue unabated. We have proven this by ensuring that people like Abu Sufyan, Abdul Razik are not allowed back in Canada. Even though he's a citizen of this country, he's obviously a terrorist. Now, even though CSIS and the RCMP said he's not, he's still obviously a terrorist. We, the government of Canada, have ensured that he will not be coming back here anytime soon.
Shame on Canada! Shame on NATO!
NATO puts the emphasis in the right place. It reminds us that might is right, that we cannot negotiate with non-Euro Americans. How could we? They're so terribly different. The only way to bring freedom to them is through our arms, because might is right. Canadians need to take pride in our ability to wage war.
No more
NATO
violence!
is emerging as the foremost military power and is succeeding in spreading the message of free market across the globe. It's refreshing to see a solid move away from the United Nations, where they define their roles by peacekeeping and international laws. We need to be able to act on what we believe is right, and we are acting on what we believe is right, and that's warfare and militarism. We stand on the cusp of a great time, where Europe and North America will emerge from the ashes of the financial crisis, stronger, more militaristic, a leader for all to follow. And Canada is stepping up to be that leader. We subvert dialogue around climate change. We have been outspoken critics of the UN Conference on Racism. We have stood up against the Indians in this country and their attempts to steal power from legitimate government of this land and other colonial lands. It is important to NATO that we have taken this leadership and had the courage to not sign the United Nations declarations on indigenous rights. And I've said this before, and I quote, I know it's unfashionable to refer to colonialism in anything other than negative terms, but certainly no part of the world is unscarred by the excesses of empire. But in the Canadian context, the actions of the British Empire were largely benign and occasionally brilliant.
Get on the stage! Jump off the roof!
The British Empire was largely benign and occasionally brilliant. I want to thank you all for coming and celebrating and commemorating NATO and their 60 years of militarism and warfare. And I look forward to another 60 years of dominating the planet.
Shame!